My cousin Cassie Morgan was obsessed with being the other married men. I tried warning her, but she completely ignored me. For her own good and her future, I told our family elders that she was seeing a married man. Under pressure, she had no choice but to break things off. A month later, Cassie finally seemed to come to her senses. To thank me, she invited me back to her dad's hometown for a little vacation, even offering to book my hotel herself. But the moment I stepped out of the shower in that hotel room, there was a strange man lying on my bed in nothing but boxers. Before I could process what was happening, a woman burst in with a group of people. They pinned me down, tore off my towel, and started slapping me while someone recorded. It turned out Cassie had catfished that married man using my photo. Then she called his wife and set me up. I lost my job, got doxxed, harassed. I couldn't take the pressure and humiliation, and in the end, I killed myself. But when I opened my eyes, I was back in my bedroom at the exact moment I caught Cassie chatting with that married man. I nearly knocked my laptop over from the shock. Wasn't I already dead? Didn't I jump off a rooftop? Just then, my computer pinged. The message on screen was painfully familiar. "Babe, is that old hag home tonight? I need you so bad. I can't wait to eat you." The sender? Cassie Morgan. The man? A guy named Jack Taylor. Jack responded, "Where are you? I'll come pick you up. If I can't wait, I'll just do you in the car, haha." That's when I realized I had been reborn. Cassie, with her sweet, innocent girl-next-door looks, had a twisted little kink. She only liked married men. Last time, she'd borrowed my laptop when her phone died. She forgot to log out of her messages. When I opened it, the screen was full of dirty talk. One of her flings was Jack Taylor, 26, newly married, generous with money, bored with his cold wife. She was actually proud of being someone's mistress. I knew this was a dangerous game. Nothing good ever came from messing with married men. So I immediately called her and told her I'd found out. Cassie's mom, my aunt, had lost her job years ago. She worked brutal hours running a tiny corner store just to pay Cassie's way through college. A couple months ago, she scraped together savings to pay for a government job training program. Cassie had just landed a probationary position in civil service. That job was her ticket to security. There was no way I was going to let her blow it all on some sleazy affair. Plus, these married guys? Trash. The lot of them. But Cassie just sneered at my concern. "Young guys don't know how to treat a woman," she said. "They're broke and immature. Do you know how much my favorite purse costs? Over $1,000. You think some 22-year-old intern can afford that? And that thrill of sneaking around with a married man? Once you've tasted it, you can't go back." I didn't get it. I didn't want to get it, but I couldn't let her spiral. So I told Aunt Grace. She dragged Cassie home and gave her a proper tongue lashing, made her delete every man's number in front of us, then confiscated her phone. Cassie bit her lip, eyes red with tears, but apologized. Aunt Grace sighed with relief. "Cassie's always been a good girl. She knows you're just looking out for her." Sure enough, after a while, Cassie called me herself. She said she'd been stupid. Thanked me for saving her. If I'd kept going down that road, who knows what kind of crazy wife would have come after me, she laughed. "Thank God you pulled me back." Then she invited me to join her and Uncle Tom on a trip to his hometown for spring break. Said she'd already booked my hotel, her treat. I agreed. But on the night I arrived, after taking a shower, I stepped out of the bathroom to find a strange man in his underwear lying on the bed. I screamed. Before I could call 911, the door slammed open. A woman stormed in, grabbed me by the hair, and slapped me across the face again and again. Blood gushed from my nose. My ears rang. In seconds, they ripped the towel off me and someone started filming. "You little whore," the woman screamed. "You think you can steal someone's husband and get paid for it? What's the difference between you and a prostitute?" People around her jeered. "She's worth maybe $5 a night. Cheap slut." That's when I realized. Cassie set me up. She used my name and photos to lure a married man on the internet, then tipped off his wife. The video of me naked, getting beaten and screamed at, went viral within hours. Bad news travels fast, they say. My parents, relatives, and even high school classmates all saw it. My parents had heart attacks from the shock. Both landed in the ICU. My address, employer, and job title were leaked. My company's phones were flooded. The CEO demanded action. HR fired me on the spot for damaging the brand. People sent funeral wreaths to our home. Garbage was dumped on our porch. Neighbors gossiped openly. Did you hear about Emily from 305? Got caught seducing a married man. Beaten naked. Serves her right. I'd sue her for emotional damages. I couldn't leave the house. Couldn't turn on my phone. Couldn't look anyone in the eye. That was the first time I understood what social death truly meant. I confronted Cassie. She smirked. You always acted so holier than thou, Emily. Always lecturing me. You think you're better than me? Got proof I set you up? Didn't think so. Oh, and by the way, hit me and I'm calling the cops. And with your parents in the hospital? Who's gonna bail you out? They didn't make it. My mom and dad died without ever hearing the truth. Without knowing I was innocent. Cassie and her parents didn't even show up to the funeral. To pay the medical bills, I had to sell our house. By the end, I had nothing. I wandered to the rooftop, took one last look at the sky, and jumped. Chapter 2, Second Chance, Same Mistake. Cassie's call jolted me out of my thoughts. Same as before. Hey sis, perfect timing. I'm hanging out with my bestie tomorrow night. Gonna stay over at her place, but I'll tell mom I'm at your apartment so she won't nag me. Cool? In my previous life, I would have pressed her for details. Who was this bestie? Where was she really going? But this time, I smiled and said sweetly, sure, no problem. Have fun. The chat on her computer kept rolling. Different man this time. Saved under, Ben Walker, 28, artist, long-distance marriage, sex-starved. Cassie, baby, I miss you so much. Let me take you out for dinner after work tomorrow? Ben replied, hell yeah. Let's eat, then crash at my place. Just tell your mom you're staying at your cousin's. Well. This girl wasn't just seeing Jack. She had multiple married guys on rotation. I opened her contacts. Sure enough, a whole VIP list. And Jack Taylor, 30. Net worth, several million. Lavish gifts. Wife is controlling. Mike Langston, 32. CEO of a local firm. 2 kids. Hates spicy food. And Ben Walker, starving artist. Emotionally needy. Living for passion. While she was still logged in, I jotted down their WeChat usernames. The next day, I registered a fake account and added all of them. Took some finesse, but eventually they spilled everything. Turns out, there's a secret invite-only website. On the surface it looks like a dating app. But with the right code, it opens up into a full-blown affair marketplace. Exclusively for cheaters. Of the men Cassie was seeing, Jack was the youngest and most distant. He admitted he'd joined the site for the thrill, but now claimed he'd met the one and wanted out. I had a hunch. The one wasn't his wife. So I messaged him, pretending to be Cassie's friend. Cassie really likes you, I said. She's just scared you don't feel the same. Truth is, I added, she's torn. Wanted me to test you. Jack took the bait. He confessed, Cassie was the love of his life. He was even considering divorce. I feigned admiration. Wow, that's so romantic. Don't worry, I'll help you. I reminded him over and over, don't tell her we talked. He promised he wouldn't. A few days later, Cassie called again. She needed me to cover for another night out. Of course, I agreed instantly. This time, I put on a wig, sunglasses, and a face mask. Then camped out in front of her office. As soon as she walked out, a tall, lanky guy joined her. Hipster style. Attractive. Probably Ben Walker. They boarded a bus together, holding hands like teenagers. Cassie had no money. She was still on probation at her government job, earning minimum wage, but she was always dressed in designer clothes and flawless makeup. Clearly, she wasn't footing the bill. Ben didn't look rich. No wonder they always stayed at his place. Even motel fees were too much. What shocked me was how willing Cassie was. She was into this guy. I grabbed a cab and followed the bus. They ended up at Ben's apartment, an old building in a downtown district. No doorman, no security. I slipped in easily. The hallway walls were thin. I could hear everything. They were getting it on like teenagers in heat. Afterward, They headed downstairs to grab dinner at a fast food joint. I sat at a nearby table, listening. Ben complained. My wife's always yelling at me. Says I don't make money, that I'm a joke. I have to take crap jobs just to stay afloat. She used to support my art, you know? That's why I married her. Now? She calls it a waste of time. He sucked on his soda, sulking. Cassie, cheeks still flushed, looked at him dreamily. Then why not leave her? She said, be with me. I'll support your dreams. Ben sighed. You think I don't want to? If I divorce her, I'll owe her half my assets. I'm broke as it is. I'm sorry, Cassie. I'm just not good enough for you. Cassie immediately pulled out her wallet. She stuffed a wad of cash into his hands. Here, take it. It's my bonus. If I wire it, there'll be a trace. I pulled it in cash for you. I scoffed. Bonus? What bonus? Her office was a government branch, a budget-starved one. She was still on probation. The only bonus she got was whatever her sugar daddies gave her. Still, the fact she was giving money to Ben said a lot. She had real feelings for him. Ben took the money hesitantly, kissed her on the cheek. You're the only one who believes in me. When I get my life together, I'll divorce and marry you. I nearly laughed out loud. I used to think Cassie was just in it for the thrills and the money. But no, when a guy was hot enough, she turned into a complete sucker. By now it was early afternoon. I knew Ben's wife would be home soon. Sure enough, after a little more cuddling, Cassie and Ben parted ways. Cassie didn't go home though. She went to a coffee shop. Soon another man arrived. This one in sunglasses and a baseball cap, pulled low over his face. Had to be Jack Taylor. He handed her a black Chanel gift bag. Happy birthday, babe, he said. Nothing I could buy would ever match you. Cassie squealed, hugged him, and off they went, to a nearby hotel. 3 hours later, they emerged separately. Cassie, still clutching the Chanel bag, made a beeline to a second-hand designer boutique. I didn't even have to ask. She was cashing it out. Chapter 3, Surveillance and Strategy. After tailing her for a few days, I got a solid read on Cassie's roster. Ben Walker, the starving artist? She was clearly in love with him, willing to pay just to see him. Jack Taylor, the rich guy? She liked him for the fancy dinners and 5-star hotels. As for the other 2 married men, Mike Langston and Dan Blackwell, they hadn't shown up in person yet. Probably just casual flings for a bit of excitement. Since I still had to work during the day, and my nights were now filled with stakeouts, I knew I couldn't keep this up alone. So I hired a private investigator. Sure, I could have just snapped a few photos of Cassie cozying up with married men and sent them to the wives. It would have been quick, brutal, and effective. But after what she did to me in my previous life, getting me stripped, beaten, and viral shamed into suicide, this wasn't about efficiency. This was about precision, about watching her world crumble, piece by piece, about revenge. Besides, 2 of her sugar daddies, Jack and Mike, had even messaged me before, trying to hook up. Disgusting. They deserved to burn too. Lately, Cassie had started talking to me more often. Maybe she noticed how agreeable I'd become. In my last life, I'd shut down most of her shady requests, especially when it came to covering for her overnight hookups. She was young, pretty, and reckless. I used to worry some guy would scam her or worse. But this time, I let her walk straight into the fire. That made her open up even more. She started flaunting her designer bags. Check this out, she said one day, pulling out a limited edition LV purse. Saw this in Vogue. Over $3,000. That's nearly half a year's salary for a trainee like her. I played dumb. Whoa. That's so real looking. Where'd you get the knockoff? Cassie scoffed. Knockoff? Please. This is from the actual boutique. It dropped last week. What she didn't know, my family had always been the one supporting hers. My parents helped her mom and dad build their convenience store from scratch. They even gave them their first supplier contacts. While my aunt and uncle worked overtime, it was me who walked Cassie to school, fed her dinner, helped with homework. Whenever I got new clothes, I passed down the best to her. She was always the polite, sweet cousin. Always said thank you. Only once had she ever snapped at me. And that was when I caught her cheating with a married man. But that one time was all it took for her to hate me enough to destroy my entire life. When my parents had heart attacks, I begged my aunt for help. She said they had no money, then turned around and blamed me. You're the one who seduced a married man and brought shame on us. Don't you dare drag Cassie down with you. Even when my parents died, they didn't come to the funeral. This time, I wasn't going to let it go. Not again. So I grinned at Cassie and said, "Damn, how'd you suddenly get so rich? Got a money-making tip for your broke cousin?" She smirked. "What, you need my help now?" I chuckled. "Well, yeah. You clearly know something I don't." She scrolled on her phone, then turned the screen toward me. "Since you've been pretty cool lately, I'll let you in on my little secret." It was that same website, the one the private investigator had dug up. Looked like a typical dating site on the surface, but with an invite code. Cassie waved the screen. "This is where the real action happens. Real men, real money. You're not gonna find love here, but you'll find everything else." I flipped through the profiles. Most of them were older. Married? I frowned. So many guys are married. Isn't that a problem? Cassie rolled her eyes. Ugh. Don't be such a prude. Married guys are perfect. They've got money, experience, they're emotionally needy but never clingy. You have fun, get spoiled, then move on. No strings. Plus, the danger? So hot? She winked. That was her MO, thrill-seeking. Risk addiction. Nothing ever good enough unless it came with flames. I nodded like I was impressed. "So, what? This is like your new career path?" She flipped her hair. "Hey, not everyone's cut out for retail hell. I'm just playing the game smarter." And she handed me an invite code. Spring break was around the corner. Cassie told me she was taking Ben on a secret vacation getaway. Her mom, however, had other plans. She wanted Cassie to help out at their store. The place got slammed with tourists every spring. Aunt Grace and Uncle Tom were getting older. Their bodies couldn't keep up. And with Cassie's salary so low, they couldn't afford to hire help. Cassie panicked. "What do I do?" I smiled. "Easy. Tell her I already booked you a flight and hotel as a birthday gift. The rooms are prepaid, non-refundable. Your mom hates wasting money, right?" Worked like a charm. Cassie used my account to book everything. I, of course, kept screenshots. Later that night, Jack messaged me, desperate. He hadn't heard from Cassie in days. Said he was getting worried. What perfect timing. I put on my best poker face. "Wanna know a secret?" I whispered. "She's planning something huge for you." "A surprise?" Jack took the bait immediately. "Really? What kind of surprise?" "Well, I probably shouldn't say. But if you promise not to tell her, I'll spill." He was practically drooling. "Promise." I sent over the flight and hotel confirmation. "She booked a luxury suite for you guys," I wrote. She said she wanted to make it special. "New city, no one knows you two. It's your moment to be free." What Jack didn't know. His surprise was about to crash into Cassie's surprise. Because he wasn't the only one headed to that hotel. Chapter 4. The trap is set. The private investigators I hired all reported back right before Cassie and Ben's trip. Apparently, before leaving town, Cassie had met with both of her gold sponsors, Mike Langston and Dan Blackwell. Translation? She was securing her vacation funds. Because let's be real, Ben had nothing but emotional support to offer. He was broke, jobless, and living in a rundown studio apartment. The beach getaway? Fully financed by the married sugar daddies. I had to give it to her. Cassie really knew how to juggle. She got thrills from cheating, cash from the rich, and romance from the broke artist. A full buffet. I opened the photos the investigators sent, receipts, timestamped surveillance footage, and hotel meetups. The sugar daddies weren't just loaded. They were local celebrities in the business world. One ran a high-end logistics company. The other owned a chain of auto dealerships. Both had families, wives, kids. I locked all the evidence away. It wasn't time yet. Because just then, Jack Taylor messaged me. I booked my flight. I'm surprising her. Can't wait to see the look on her face. I chuckled. There was going to be plenty of surprise. So I booked myself a ticket too. Yes, it was expensive. But consider it front row seats to a car crash I choreographed myself. The hotel Cassie had picked was gorgeous. Right next to a touristy beach, faux Venetian architecture, marble everywhere. Clearly, she squeezed every penny out of her sugar daddies for this. I wore a wig, glasses, mask, the whole 9 yards, then parked myself in the hotel lobby with a coffee and waited. 2 hours passed. Then Jack arrived. He walked in holding a bouquet of red roses, wearing a smug smile like a teen in love. I followed him up to her floor using the service elevator, careful not to be seen. He stood in front of the suite door and knocked gently. "Room service," he called softly, trying to disguise his voice. "This dumbass." It took a couple minutes, but eventually the door cracked open. Cassie stood there, her eyes wide in shock. "Jack? What are you, how?" Jack pushed the roses into her arms. "Surprise. You thought you could hide this from me?" Behind the flowers, I saw it. Cassie's bare legs. She was wearing nothing but a hotel bathrobe. Yup, she and Ben had just finished round 2. Jack stepped forward. "Why are you in a bathrobe at this hour? You always say you hate showering during the day." Cassie tried to block the door. I was just relaxing." "Cassie," Jack said, narrowing his eyes. "Are you not letting me in?" Then came a voice from inside. "Babe? Who is it?" Jack's jaw dropped. Cassie tried to slam the door shut, but Jack shoved it open and stormed inside. Screaming, shouting, crashing. It was a full-blown brawl. But I wasn't going in just yet. This was only Act 1. The elevator behind me pinged. Perfect timing. A tall woman in oversized sunglasses and deep red lipstick marched out like she owned the building, followed by 3 assistants, one carrying a video camera. She was glowing with rage. I followed behind as they made their way to Cassie's suite. Inside, Jack and Ben were now punching each other, shirtless and furious. Cassie was crying and trying to pull them apart. Then the woman charged in and slapped Cassie so hard she fell backward, the robe slipping from her shoulders. Cassie shrieked, trying to cover herself. But the woman was just getting started. "You slut!" she screamed. "Seducing my husband? You think I won't tear that pretty face apart?" The camera assistant got a perfect shot of Cassie on the floor, robe half open, face red and puffy, mascara running. And the woman, her name was Linda Carr, went full nuclear. "This is the bitch? The one you gave my Chanel to?" She slapped Jack next. "You want a divorce? You can keep your cheating dick, but you're not getting a damn cent." Then she turned on Ben. "Oh, and you," she hissed. "You little leech. I gave up everything for you. And you're fucking her?" Punch. Ben staggered, stunned. Turns out, Linda was married to Jack. But she was also dating Ben. Their twisted triangle was even more tangled than I imagined. Linda had met Ben through her influencer gigs. They both worked in the creative industry, art, fashion, online content. They connected, complained about their spouses, and apparently clicked. Linda was rich. Ben was hot. Cassie? Just a side toy. Now all 3 were exposed. Caught in the crossfire. Linda wasn't done yet. She lit a cigarette with one hand and tossed a stack of printed screenshots on the bed. "Here's the hotel receipt, the texts, the lingerie charged to my credit card. You 3 want to play games? Play in court?" Cassie was crying hysterically now, curled in the corner. "Linda, please. You cheated too. You're no better than me." Linda laughed. "You think I care what the internet thinks? Honey, I've got a full editing team. They'll spin this story in a heartbeat." I realized then, Cassie had finally met her match. A woman just as savage, just as calculating. But with money, PR, and power on her side. Chapter 5, Viral Hell. Cassie was still sobbing, curled up in a ball, her bathrobe barely covering anything. The camera guy didn't even flinch, he zoomed in. "Linda Carr?" She was pure executioner mode. "Get it all," she said coldly. Every pathetic scream, every lie, every inch of her cheating ass. Cassie shrieked, "I'll sue you, this is illegal, you can't film me." Linda exhaled a puff of smoke. "Oh, sweetie, the footage isn't the problem. The editing is where the real power is. I can make you look like a gold-digging homewrecker, or a desperate sugar baby. Depends on my mood." Jack started panicking. "Linda, baby, it's not what you think." She turned and slapped him. Hard. "You think I'm stupid? You were gonna divorce me and run off with this inflatable doll? You spent our money on her." Jack was trying to back away when Linda's team blocked the door. Ben stepped forward, trying to put on his tortured artist face. "Linda, it's not what it looks like." Another slap. "You're broke, delusional, and now officially homeless. The condo's in my name. The car too. You can crawl back to your dusty art loft and die in oil paint for all I care." Cassie tried to crawl away, holding her torn robe shut. "I'll expose you too," she screamed. "You cheated. You're married and you were sleeping with both of them. I'll ruin you." Linda snorted. "Go ahead. I've got 3 editors and an agency behind me. I could post a version of this where you tried to rape me and it'd go viral in 20 minutes. And you want to threaten me with exposure?" Linda turned to her camera guy. "Send it." Within 15 minutes, Cassie's humiliation was all over the internet. The video was clipped, subtitled, and stylized. Her face blurred just enough to skirt legal issues, yet still recognizable to anyone who knew her. The title? Caught in the Act. Sugar Baby versus Wife versus Side Boyfriend. Chaos in Paradise Hotel. It racked up 10 million views overnight. Linda followed it up with a tearful live stream. She sat in a dim room, makeup smudged just enough to look raw. She apologized to fans for hiding her marriage, admitted to falling in love with the wrong people, and being too naive. "I just wanted to love and be loved," she cried. "But I was betrayed." The internet ate it up. Linda deserves better. Queen behavior. Drag the homewrecker. Meanwhile, Jack tried to do damage control. He posted a shaky IG live accusing Linda of abuse, financial blackmail, and setting him up. It flopped instantly. He had no proof, no receipts, just his smug face and a shaky voice. Linda countered with a montage, Jack fighting with Ben, Cassie crying on the floor, stolen luxury gifts, edited perfectly. Her followers tripled. Cassie's name wasn't even mentioned, but people started to put the pieces together, especially when the next leak dropped. Anonymous tip reveals cheating sugar baby exposed at workplace. Multiple married partners, luxury goods, and sketchy website memberships. The screenshots matched Cassie's outfits, her bags, her workplace ID badge. Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter went wild. That day, Cassie got jumped, again. She showed up to work like nothing had happened. But by noon, 2 furious women were waiting at her office door, the wives of her sugar daddies. The women didn't just scream, they came with flyers, printed every leaked photo, every hotel receipt, every text message. They handed them out to employees, taped them on the bathroom stalls, even stuck some on the boss's door. They trashed the lobby. They cornered Cassie, slapped her across the face, and screamed, "You ruined my family. That purse? My son's tuition money. You thought we wouldn't find you?" Someone called HR. A manager tried to intervene, got smacked for his trouble. One wife yelled, "This is what your hiring process looks like? This slut represents your department?" By 3 p.m., the company called an emergency all-to-hands meeting. Cassie's badge was deactivated before she even made it to the elevator. While this was going down, I was already on my way back to the city. That night, my mom called. "Emily, your aunt's store got trashed." Perfect. I raced home. Sure enough, her little convenience store looked like a war zone. Shelves overturned. Glass shattered. Graffiti sprayed on the walls. Slut family. Husband thief. Rot in hell. My aunt was sitting on the floor sobbing. My uncle just sat in the corner, chain smoking. My mom looked shaken. "Should we call the cops?" I pulled up Linda's viral video on my phone. Too late. When my aunt saw the footage, her face turned chalk white. No. She's not even married yet. If this goes public, she'll never find a husband. Then she turned on me. "Emily, how could you let this happen? You were always so close. You should have guided her better. Did you show her those websites? Did you teach her to act like this?" My dad snapped. "She's not the one whoring around, Helen. Your daughter made her own bed. She can rot in it." Chapter 6. The Price of a Lie. After the confrontation at the store, my aunt started pacing in circles, muttering nonsense. "We can't go to the police. No way. If this turns into an official case, Cassie's name will be everywhere. She just got her job. She's so young, she still has a future." Right. She was worried about her reputation. Not the fact that her daughter had seduced half the married men in town and got caught on camera naked. Then she turned her bloodshot eyes on me. "You were supposed to look after her. You grew up together. How could you let her go astray like this?" I gave her a tight smile. "Maybe you should have asked yourself that the first time you blamed me when she ruined my life." My dad nodded. "She's right. We helped you people for years. And this is the thanks we get? Your daughter makes a mess and you blame ours?" My aunt opened her mouth to snap back. But then her eyes rolled back, and she fainted on the spot. We had to call 911. The next day, I got a call from the hospital. Cassie had been assaulted. Again. She was in the ER, bloodied and bruised. Apparently, the two furious wives had tracked her down and beaten the hell out of her in her office before security could intervene. The damage wasn't minor. Black eye, split lip, swollen cheekbone. She looked like she'd gone 10 rounds with a UFC champ. Since her parents couldn't be reached, the hospital had called her emergency contact. That was still me. I showed up, pretended to be shocked, made some comforting noises. Cassie clung to my hand. "I don't understand. I thought I was careful. How did they find me? How did it all go so wrong?" I didn't answer. Instead, I offered her a bottle of water and watched her lips tremble with guilt and confusion. She had no idea this was all orchestrated. But the wives? They weren't done. Both of Cassie's very important person sponsors had powerful spouses, and now both women went public. One of them, Mrs. Langston, hired a team of women to stand outside Cassie's workplace, handing out flyers with her face, name, job title, and a bold headline. "This woman slept with my husband. Ask her about her internship." They brought banners, loudspeakers, threw hotel receipts on the sidewalk. They even stormed the office and screamed at Cassie's boss. "You hired this? A walking STD with a Prada bag and no conscience?" Security couldn't contain them. One woman smacked a department head for telling her to calm down. She screamed, "You calm down when someone's fucking your husband in the break room." That same afternoon, the company held an emergency town hall. PR crisis. Local news had picked it up. Cassie was officially terminated. As I walked out of the hospital, my phone buzzed. It was my mom again. "Emily," she said, voice tight. Cassie's parents' store got hit again. This time, it's worse. By the time I got there, the store was surrounded by trash bags, smashed soda bottles, and spray-painted words like "Slut Family," "Homewrecker Central," "Husband Thief's Headquarters." Inside, my aunt was wailing on the floor. My uncle looked ready to have a stroke. And now they were really broke. Between my aunt's hospital bills and Cassie's job loss, they were drowning in debt. I walked in just in time to hear my uncle mutter, "We can't afford the ICU. If Cassie dies, at least the bills stop." That's when my aunt snapped. She slapped him, hard. "How dare you say that about your daughter? She's a disgrace." He yelled back. "A burden. She's turned our lives into a nightmare. We should have let her rot in that hospital bed." They kept screaming. Then a nurse ran in, trying to break up the fight. But in the chaos, they knocked over an elderly patient, someone else's grandfather. The man hit his head. Badly. Now the family was threatening to sue for medical damages. The cops came. Both of Cassie's parents were arrested for assault and endangerment. A few days later, my mom called me, her voice unusually quiet. "Cassie's family packed up and left town," she said. "Back to the countryside." They couldn't stay. Her mom had a stroke from all the stress. She can barely walk now. Her dad's the full-time caretaker. They're basically bankrupt. No store, no home, nothing. And Cassie, she's still in the hospital. Probably won't be getting out anytime soon. I said nothing. Inside, I felt calm. Not happy. Not vindicated. Just balanced. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Chapter 7. Lawsuits and Last Straws. Cassie hadn't even healed from her hospital beating before her next problem arrived, in a manila envelope delivered straight to her ICU room. Inside, a court summons. Plaintiff, Linda Carr. CO defendants, Jack Taylor and Cassandra Morgan. Linda was suing for asset recovery. Apparently, Jack had given Cassie thousands in marital property, luxury bags, jewelry, cash. All of it from Linda's personal income. Earnings she could prove. Now she wanted it all back. Every dollar, every necklace, every overpriced handbag Cassie had ever flaunted. Also included in the envelope, an itemized invoice. Over $75,000 worth of gifts. Cassie was too stunned to speak. Her parents were still locked up from the hospital fight. Her medical bills were piling up. Her savings were gone. She couldn't even afford a lawyer. A week later, my mom got a call from the hospital. They were trying to discharge Cassie, not because she was healed, but because she couldn't pay. She'd racked up 6 figures in treatment costs, and the hospital was legally allowed to cut her loose unless someone stepped up. Her parents begged my mom to help. My mom begged me. "Emily," she said gently, "just loan them something to get by. Their family—" I laughed out loud. "Oh, but they still have a house, right?" I said sweetly. "They can sell it." That's what people do when they ruin their lives. And that's what they did. Cassie's father had no choice but to sell their only property. A 2-bedroom they'd held onto for decades, gone, just to pay for Cassie's ICU bills. It was a fire sale. They barely broke even. Then came Linda Carr's next move. She publicly filed to force liquidation of the remaining gifts. She wanted Cassie to either return the Chanel bags, Tiffany jewelry, and spa trips, or pay their fair market value. Cassie had already pawned most of it. But it got worse. Linda's legal team pushed the court to freeze Cassie's accounts. And when they found out Cassie had no assets left, they filed a personal bankruptcy claim against her. Somehow, Cassie still hadn't hit rock bottom. That came 2 weeks later, when her dad marched into the ICU and told the nurse, "We'd like to terminate care. Pull the plug." Cassie had slipped into a coma following an infection. The doctors said it could take weeks, months, maybe longer to recover, if at all. Her father didn't want to wait. He couldn't afford to. "I'd rather she go now," he said flatly, "than drain every cent we have left." But her mother overheard and lost it. She grabbed the IV stand and hit him with it. The nurses called security. Both parents were arrested again. And the hospital? They called me. Still the emergency contact. Still somehow listed as the next of kin. "We need a family decision," the nurse said. "And frankly, there's no one else." I didn't hesitate. Keep her alive. No matter what it costs. There was a long pause on the line. "Miss Johnson, I have to warn you. The burden of care is severe. She'll require long-term supervision, potentially for the rest of her life." I smiled. That's the point. Word got around. Cassie Morgan, the once bubbly, designer-wearing heartbreaker, was now a comatose patient in a long-term care facility. Her father fled to the countryside. Her mother was in and out of the hospital herself, half paralyzed from stress-induced strokes. And me? I was living my life. Quietly, peacefully. Rebuilt my career. Cut ties with every toxic relative. No one knew what I'd done. No one knew how calculated it was. Except me. Chapter 8. Coma Queen goes viral. Months passed. The internet forgot about Cassie. Linda's drama had long blown over. Her PR team had buried the scandal, launched a new product line, and rebranded her as a survivor of betrayal. She came out even more famous. Jack? Gone. Last I heard, he was waiting tables under a fake name in Vegas, still dodging process servers. Ben? Tried to beg his way back into Linda's life. When that didn't work, he slid into Cassie's DMs again. Yes, while she was in a coma. The man was certifiably pathetic. Me? I was just watching it all unfold like a show I'd already binge-watched and memorized. I didn't need to interfere anymore. The fire was still burning just fine without me. Then one morning, I woke up to a headline trending on Reddit. Leaked footage from notorious mistress trap resurfaces. Identity allegedly linked to comatose woman in long-term care. Someone, probably from Linda's production crew, leaked the uncensored original footage. The version where Cassie was slapped, stripped, and exposed in full daylight. Her face, voice, body, everything. It didn't take long before someone recognized her. They found old selfies, school photos. One clip of her crying on a college campus after getting rejected from an internship. By evening, a nickname had gone viral. The Coma Queen. They even made memes. When you want drama, but end up on life support. Cassie.exe has stopped responding. She played stupid games and won eternal rest mode. Her name trended for days. People joked about her like she was some urban legend. Others debated if she deserved sympathy. But no one saw her as a victim. They remembered the married men, the betrayals, the fake innocence. And when they found out she was still technically alive, they celebrated. "That's even better," someone wrote. "Now she gets to hear the nurses whisper about her for the rest of her life." Her family tried to sue the websites hosting the footage. Didn't work. She wasn't a minor. She wasn't assaulted by strangers. The footage was considered private civil conflict. And besides, she was already famous in the worst way possible. I heard whispers that her dad tried to pull the plug again, but the hospital refused without both guardians' consent. Her mom, now bound to a wheelchair, refused. "We'll keep her alive as long as it takes," she'd mutter. Someday she'll wake up and set the record straight. But no one was waiting for that day. No one believed her side of the story. Because there was no story left. Only a broken body in a private care room. And the myth of the coma queen, the mistress who flew too close to the flame and got burned into internet immortality. I stood outside that facility once. Didn't go in. Didn't need to. I had already reclaimed my life, cleared my name, buried my demons, and then buried hers right beside them. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was cold. Precise. Permanent.